Welcome to the Roncast, where entrepreneurs find killer tips, techniques, and tools to start and growth hack any business. Brought to you by one of Canada's favorite business personalities, Ron Davies. Enjoy the show.
Hi, and welcome back to the Roncast. I'm your host, Ron Davies. Let's have a look at some cool things that you can spend your time on during this sort of lockdown that the world seems to be under. Let's have a hard look at some of our own truths. Today's episode is about that. It's kind of about the Roncast's own truth bomb. So I want to make a few comparisons here. And you kind of look inwardly and see if any of these resonate with you. And then after we go through it, I'll tell you which ones I'm seeing myself in, and we can come up with a way ahead. So let's make a few comparisons here. So a healthy grocery shopping trip at $100. Does it feel expensive? But when you compare it to a dinner date at $100, doesn't that feel reasonable? Or how about another one? How about monthly bodybuilding supplements at $100? Yeah, I can't afford that. You know, my monthly health supplements for $100 seems really expensive compared to a night out of drinking, which is $100, and for many of us, a weekly occurrence. How do those two things compare? And what about this? I've been on both sides of a lot of personal development seminars and masterminds and workshops. What about a personal growth seminar at $250? Does that seem like crazy talk? And how does that compare, though, to, say, a new Gucci belt for $250 that you feel like you just need to have? Which one of those seems crazy now? Or, well, let's go to my stomping ground. How about starting a business for $1,000? A lot of people would say, you know what, I just can't justify that. There's no way I could rationalize spending $1,000 to change the rest of my life. But the iPhone 11 at $1,000? Oh, well, the newest iPhone model, that's a necessity. Are you getting how kind of absurd some of these are? How about 60 minutes at the gym? Geez, I wish I had time to go to the gym. How many of us have done that? Because the reality is, you know what, it's easy to get on a treadmill. It's a whole lot easier to walk past it, though, isn't it? So 60 minutes at the gym. We all wish we had time. But what about 60 minutes watching Netflix? Time flies then, right? I'll just watch another movie. That'll be another 60 minutes. That's a pretty interesting comparison. So everything in life is about priorities. And what you prioritize dictates what your life looks like. So based on what you're doing today, or what I'm doing today, I'm not pointing fingers. I'm just giving us all a moment of inward looking because we have time on our hands. I don't know about you guys, but I'm self-isolated right now. So we all have time on our hands. How are you going to spend that time? On Netflix? Starting a business? Maybe doing some push-ups and sit-ups, starting to integrate that into your life? Maybe eating a little healthier because the junk food's a little bit less available right now? What are your priorities? You know, this is what it's really about. In part, you don't need another book, right? It's not about whether you need to read a book or whether you need to get on a treadmill. The truth is, if you don't get on a treadmill today, you're not going to have a heart attack as a result of it tomorrow. And if you do 10 push-ups today, you're not going to look like The Rock tomorrow either. It's not the things that we do once or twice that affect our lives in the long term. It's the cumulative value of these things. Let me give you another example. If you eat a cheeseburger today, that's not going to stop your heart, right? You're not going to have artery problems tomorrow. But if you ate a cheeseburger every day for lunch, I can guarantee you, even though I'm not a doctor, I can guarantee you that will have an impact on your life in 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, 30 years. It will definitely have an impact on your health. At the same time, if you did 10 push-ups today and tomorrow and the next day, I can guarantee you 6 to 8 weeks, you will see a marked difference in how you look. Throw in the sit-ups too. Throw in some crunches. Where I'm going here is that a lot of us love truth, right? We want our mates to be truthful with us. We need to be truthful with our children, truthful with our friends, our coworkers. Truth is really important. One of the nicest things about truth is that you don't have to remember what you said later because the truth is still the same. That's enough blessing on its own. But a lot of us don't like truth, like the comparisons that I've shared with you here today. A lot of us don't like these when they're in conflict with our behavior because we don't want to change our behavior. Look at people that use vaping now, right? We're all vaping. I smoked for years. I smoked from when I was 13 until I was about 35. I smoked cigarettes. I was one of the worst non-smokers when I quit too. And in one of these podcasts, I'm going to share with you how I quit smoking because nothing had worked. And this free, simple way did work. But what I want to talk to you here a little bit about is this truth around vaping. I don't want to take a side because I understand how difficult it is to quit smoking. But when you go from smoking to vaping, you're actually poisoning yourself more than you were when you were smoking. We know that now, but nobody likes that truth. I didn't like the truth around cigarettes being bad for me. I didn't like the truth around fast food not being good for me. I didn't like the truth around the fact that when I was traveling and doing marketing conferences and teaching Fortune 500 companies how to use the internet properly, I didn't like the truth that all that travel was causing a lot of taxing on me. I actually had a family breakup as a result of that because I was not tending my family. That was a harsh truth. So none of us like those truths when they come to us. But I'm here as your accountability partner, and I'm calling you out, and I'm calling me out, and I invite you to do the same. These truths are truths, whether we dispute them or not. So 90% of this is just recognizing these truths. That other 10% is just doing something little about them. It doesn't mean, oh, geez, I listened to Ron on the Roncast and he said I can't eat cheeseburgers anymore. I'll have a heart attack. I'm not a medical expert, right? What that's about is I'm giving you an example. I'm not talking about making giant changes, just small changes that honor your truth, because your truth belongs to you. I can't tell you what your truth is. If your truth is that, you know what, Ron, I've been meaning to start doing crunches each morning or going for a walk each day. I've been meaning to do that. I haven't do that. Thanks for shining a spotlight on that. I'm going to take action on that today. That's awesome. But then you got to do it again tomorrow or at least a couple of times this week. And I'm right here, man. So reach out to me and I'll keep you motivated. That's it for the Roncast today. I'm your host, Ron Davies. We've talked about the truth bomb, and I had a little bit of fun because each time I go through these, I see myself in more of them, and I make a couple of notes on my whiteboard. Yeah, you got to have a whiteboard in your house, guys. One on the wall, or I have two of those A-frame ones. One is what I'm doing, the things I've got to take care of personally, and the other ones are what I have to take care of professionally. But that's it for today. I'm not going to drag this one out. You know what your truths are. I invite you to spend a minute or two now and think about them and pick one thing that you're going to address and either email it to me, Ron at the Roncast, and also indicate if you'd like me to interview you about your truth on a podcast, because that would be fun too. Have a wonderful day. I'm Ron Davies. Hi guys, how cool is it that I can talk about something that I love, which is helping people grow or start a business, and I can even get paid just for the talking part? Well, that's how it is here on Anchor. I use Anchor.fm as my podcasting platform, and they do all kinds of cool stuff to make it easier for me. First of all, it's free, right? That's kind of attractive, and that's how I started. They have really cool tools. In fact, right now I'm talking to you through my smartphone. I've recorded this podcast today, which I think is my 30th or 31st podcast using my smartphone. And it's an app that comes from Anchor, and that also is free. So they have all these creation tools that make it easy to record your podcast right from your phone or from your computer. They have cool things like drag and drop, transitions, and you can put in your intro or your outro. You probably heard my intro already. That came from a guy on Favour. He did it for me, and it's stored right in my smartphone. The other cool thing is Anchor actually distributes your podcast for you. So it can be heard in places like Spotify or Apple Podcast and about 7 or 8 other places that they send it to as well, all automatically. You can make money from your podcast, which I mentioned right at the beginning. They'll pay you for the number of people that hear different ads from the publishers or rather from the advertisers that go into your published podcast. So Anchor.fm, all in this app and all on their site, they have everything that you need to make a podcast and get paid for it all in one place. So I'm really a big fan because those that follow me recognize I'm one of the laziest marketing and salespeople ever. I'm a huge fan of leverage. I like doing something or designing a system once, and it's easy to repeat, and Anchor FM was a perfect way for me to do that. So what I want to do is I want to ask you to download the Anchor app. So whether you're on iOS or on Android, you can download the Anchor app, and you can either go to Anchor.fm or you can search it in either the Apple Store or the Google Store and install it, because there's another cool thing we can do is while I'm podcasting in real time, you can actually get involved with my podcast. I can invite you into the podcast so we can kind of work together on that. And that's pretty cool too. So I invite you to check out Anchor.fm, and I would love to hear your thoughts on it. And that will be in a podcast to come up. So have a great day. Thank you.
That's it for this episode of the Roncast. Be sure to subscribe and tune in again for killer tips, techniques, and tools to growth hack any business. We hope you've enjoyed the show.